Thank you very much, Alistair. I actually have some pictures. There's a clicker on the lectern,
there is,
I think. Yes. And with some pictures, I will tell you what is happening on technology in wind energy. So, here we see the latest large offshore wind turbines, 15 megawatts they now are. And the latest onshore wind turbines are over 7 megawatts. Wow. Actually, we wonder whether we've got to the point that there are diminishing returns, if not negative returns, if we continue to have bigger and bigger turbines. The physical effort of the installation of these blades, these are over 100 meters long each, is huge. If you make the blades much longer, you'll need very calm seas, very still wind conditions to ever be able to install those blades. We're running up to the edge of what may be physically possible with the expansion of turbine size. But there are lots of other things happening. Of course, these are bottom fixed offshore wind turbines. Here in Greece, you will have floating wind turbines. Good news, there are more and more floating wind farms around Europe. 5 in operation, 2 under construction, 4 more that have contracts for difference. One of them in the UK has a realistic price and may well be built. We expect to have 1 gigawatt of floating technology by 2030. What about onshore wind? More and more we are building hybrid onshore wind farms where you combine the wind with solar PV and, if possible, with storage as well. And that gives you a very high overall capacity factor and a very stable output of electricity. We are manufacturing batteries in order to support that, and we are also manufacturing things we used not to, namely rare earths. You may be aware that in wind we have this very unfortunate dependency on China for the permanent magnets. Well, we're tackling that now with support from the EU. There's our first rare earth permanent magnet factory in Europe, just opened in Estonia. Some people think wind is very physical, therefore it is analog. No! Wind is digital. On a modern wind turbine, there are up to 300 sensors. Fantastic. Gives us a wealth of information about the performance of individual components. It allows us to make intelligent decisions on the operation and maintenance. But, of course, that creates a risk. Whoever puts the sensors on the components in the turbines not only has lots of data, they have the power to control the functioning of those wind turbines as well. So we have to be very careful where the equipment comes from. Of course, we have data, cyber threats, and we have physical threats. The Russians are attacking the subsea cables of offshore wind farms in the Baltic and North Sea. But here again, technology is helping. Now on the subsea cables, we put something called distributed acoustic sensing, which gives the cables ears so they can hear when a Russian ship is dragging its anchor along the seabed. We're also putting military antennae, cameras and sensors on the wind turbines at sea to improve everybody's situational awareness. Then technology comes into play on dis and misinformation. Forest fires outside Athens were caused by wind farms. That's the sort of thing we're up against now. But we're fighting back with technology. We are using software to detect where the sources of these malign messages on social media, the mass purchasing of channels on Telegram is coming from, and then we're getting ready to rebut as and when we are attacked. Finally, more and more older wind turbines are being decommissioned. These are the annual volumes from now up until 2030. What do we do with those old wind turbines? Technology has a role to play here. Some of them we sell on to other countries. Sometimes we repurpose the old blade composite material and make these interesting things. There's even an old nacelle, that box at the top of a turbine, which is being used here as a temporary home. We are burning blade waste in cement factories. That helps reduce the carbon footprint of cement, co-processing, and increasingly we are producing fully recyclable blades. That's what's happening on technology in wind energy, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you very much indeed.